I've got a confession to make. I am absolutely obsessed with Overwatch, is what no one says anymore, because Marvel Rivals is here and is destroying the gaming industry. It's plummeted player counts of games like Siege, Apex, and Fortnite, absolutely murdered Overwatch, and I don't think this game is going anywhere. Recently, the devs have said that every 1.5 months they're going to introduce a new character to the game, and that announcement alone got me thinking, what characters are Marvel going to introduce to Marvel Rivals? If you look at the catalog of characters, it's absolutely endless of who they could introduce. There's been no-name characters like Luna Snow that people like me, fans of comic books and superhero movies, that finally know who Luna Snow is purely because of Marvel Rivals. And there's characters like Ultron who are leaked to come, or Fantastic Four with the Human Torch and the Thing that are introduced to the game but aren't here yet. There's endless possibilities and outcomes of characters that they could add, and I think that's only going to work to their benefit. Why am I saying all this? Because I've seen countless TikToks and YouTube videos of people saying, oh, I want this character to come to the game, and now it's my turn to throw my hat in the ring. Except this time I'm going to go through and break down the character sheets that I actually have for the 15 characters that I have fan casted or fan wanting, fan wishing for the game. It's including 5 of each category: tank, DPS, and healer, and I think I've got some very unique picks. There's also characters like Drax and Gamora, who are the only missing characters from teams like Guardians of the Galaxy that are already in the game, so I'm not going to say, oh, I wish Drax was in the game, because that's a given. And there's also characters like Thanos, who everyone wants to be a tank and come to the game, and that's just not going to entertain anybody, and is going to be stupid if I say, yeah, I want Thanos to come, because, like, yeah, everyone wants Thanos to come. So I think I have 15 unique characters as well as their character sheets that hopefully you guys enjoy. So let's get into the video right now, starting with the first 5 tanks that I want added to the game as my wish list for Marvel Rivals. First up on this list, I have Sandman. His primary is just going to be Club Fist, that up-close melee changes Sandman's fists into different types of medieval weapons. For his tactical, I have Sandbag, where Sandman throws sandbag bombs, doing splash damage and stunning enemies. For a second tactical, I have a quicksand trap, a trap-like area that when enemies walk into it, it slows down their movements and giving them damage as well. The longer you stay in this effect and the longer you try to struggle and run away, the longer it's going to last. It lasts until you're stationary. Think of quicksand: when you struggle, you only sink faster. Once you're stationary, this effect quickly goes away on the characters. It's great for holding points. For his ult, I have sandcastles. Sandman places down a sandcastle and teammates can get inside of it, which increases the damage output for the team, as well as blocking 25 to 50% of incoming projectile damage. Think of this as like a micro Newcastle ult from Apex Legends. His passive is just going to equip other spider characters with Sand Fist, that when they hit enemies, it stuns them. Second on this list for tanks, I have the Juggernaut. For his primary fire, he's got these fists, nothing too crazy about it. For tactical number 1, it's a charged up super punch that sends hit enemies flying back and stunning them. Preferably this is timed up with his ultimate, which we'll get to later on. This super punch knocks back enemies, waiting for you then to run over and kill them with his ultimate. For his second tactical, I have incoming damage decrease, speed increase, and a damage output increase as well. If you pair this with his first tactical, you can do some serious damage. For 2 of his passives, I have giving him the fastball special with Wolverine, of course, and then also something called the Iron Dome, which because of his helmet, it removes the headshot damage multiplier. Lastly, for his ultimate, I have I'm the Juggernaut. Juggernaut then runs through structures and through characters as well, and honestly anything in his path, moving characters to the side and stunning them, allowing teammates to then pick them off very quickly. During this Juggernaut stampede, he is also unable to die during this run. This character is best used as a dive tank just to absolutely destroy the healers and any of the squishies on the enemy team. Third, I have Iceman Bobby Drake, except we're going to beef up Iceman and make him this huge monster tank, which would be really cool to see. His primary, he just throws snowballs or ice grenades, doing damage to anyone who he hits with them. For his tactical, Iceman's going to spray the ice on the floor, which then allows nearby teammates that run on it, granting them a speed boost, and then any enemy characters that step on it, they take damage, stunning them for a few seconds and allowing them to slide back and forth as well. Think of like the Fortnite trap ice cubes that they put on their feet. That's what's going to happen to the enemy team here, except whatever direction they run in, they're just going to keep on sliding. So if you're on the enemy team, you do not want to step in this. But if you're on his team, it's going to grant you a speed increase, which is a pretty cool balance. For his passive, it's going to grant the Human Torch to have a Fire and Ice Tornado passive upgrade, and then this team up also gives Luna and other ice characters that we're going to add to the game later on 1.5 damage output increase. For his second tactical, it's nothing too crazy, but it's going to be ice ramps. Think of like Frozone, or if you've watched the animated series with Iceman in it, just little ice ramps for people to fly up on. Enemies, they cannot go up this ramp though, they'll slide down. This is going to be a very movement-based tank though, allowing him to run around and reposition and having having teammates actually follow him up the ramps as well. For his ultimate, I have what I like to call Freeze Hell. Iceman makes an Ice Storm Blizzard, and in this area of effect, it stuns, damages, and lowers the brightness of the screen for enemies inside the area of effect. No one can be healed while inside this if you are on the enemy team. Fourth on this list, I have a fan favorite, the Big Wheel. It's a huge tank, and he just stays put, basically. His primary fire is just going to be blasters on his wheel. After many consecutive hits on the enemy, his passive then steps in, where he shocks the enemy that he shot, but also stunning the enemies around him as well. His tactical is then a launching rocket that shoots 2 rockets that stun enemies that it blasts, as well as leaving fire impact on the spots below. It shoots 2 rockets at a time. His ultimate would be a big wheel where he just goes turbo mode, man. He just starts driving around the map, breaking any structures, kind of like Juggernaut, that being root walls or any enemies in the way. He does damage, stunning anyone he hits, and leaving an oil trail behind him that gives you a speed decrease if you step on it and you're on the enemy team. All of this as well, while he's going in turbo mode, he's just shooting lasers left and right, going crazy, not targeting anyone, but if it hits you, it's going to do a lot of damage. Lastly on this list, I have a flying tank because I really want this character in the game, but it's going to be really hard to make him a DPS that's not going to be exactly like Iron Man. I have War Machine, of course. So he's a flying tank that can fly/hover. That's going to be one of his passives where he can go up in the air, but not for too long, kind of like Doctor Strange. His primary, he has 2 dual wrist machine guns where he just shoots left and right, doing as much damage as possible. For his tactical, he drops down an automatic turret that locks on to whoever you want to, as well as your shoulder turret coming out and firing and locking on to the same enemy as well. For his ultimate, I have a carpet bombing run. Think of in Infinity War, whenever War Machine flies over and drops the bombs on the enemies at the Wakandan battle. It's going to be like that. He sets up the strip in the air, flies up into the air, and just does an absolute nuclear bomb, carpet bomb run. His power-up is going to be with Iron Man for his passive team-up. When Iron Man and him are on the same team, every 90 seconds, Iron Man gets the 2 little laser wrist things that he got from Iron Man 2, and Iron Man is then able to fly onto the ground, land, do a superhero landing, do a 360 where he just slices and does damage to anyone around him, and then can fly off again. Every 90 seconds that happens, and while that is going on, War Machine then gets a 2x damage increased when synced up with Iron Man. So imagine both of them just landing down. He's got those 2 wrist dual machine guns doing 2x damage, and then Iron Man spinning in a circle 360 with his lasers. That's a pretty cool team up in my opinion. And I'm not going to do character descriptions for these, and I have 5 for each other category, but just characters that I thought I'd mention on who I'd eventually want to do. So if I do a part 2 to this video and you guys like this, let me know, because the next 5 on this list that I'm not going to do descriptions for but would love to see eventually are the Lizard, Rhino, Crimson Dynamo, Sabretooth, and Luke Cage. Those would all be great heroes to add as tanks eventually in the game. Moving on now to DPS, I've seen a lot of people say they want Cyclops and Nightcrawler, so obviously I'm not going to make a video about them, but thought I'd mention them. First up on my list, though, is Nova, and yes, he's going to be a flying DPS. His main attack is going to be a Star Blast, where he just shoots orbs at people. Nothing too crazy, kind of like Iron Man, where you just shoot repulsors. It's going to be like that. For his tactical, though, it would come with a speed increase along with the damage output increase as well. Once you're blasting orbs and you hit 2 enemies, you then tag them. Once you tag 2 enemies, they are then able to both take damage as long as one of them is stunned in place. Once you're stunned in place, you're unable to move for about 1.5 seconds. They can still fire and do damage, but think of them being tagged and stun locked for a second and a half. Any damage these 2 tagged enemies that are stun locked doing, though, is double multiplied to Nova. So the idea with this is that you fly in with your speed boost, you do tactical damage to these stun-locked enemies, and you get out of there. If you kill them, cool. If you don't, hopefully your teammates pick them off, because if you don't kill them and you're still standing in the area trying to get picks on them, they're both stationary turrets that are doing basically a double damage output right at you, because you're absorbing that double damage output or incoming damage as well. So you got to get in and get out with Nova. For his ultimate, I have Supernova. Once his ultimate is activated, his primary fire damage is increased 3 times, as well as his speed boost being a 3x increase as well. You fly by the enemies, giving them a blur with your blue aura that you're flying with, because you're Nova. It's going to blur the enemy's vision, but also you're shooting 3x damage as well. Once you fly by, think of this, you're like flying by super fast, you're blurring their vision, but you're also just shooting left and right as Nova. It would be set up in a strip run, kind of like War Machines with his carpet run. You're flying by super fast, blurring vision, and doing a 3x damage output. I think that's pretty insane. Second on this list for DPS, I have a Cloak and Dagger-esque duo, that being Ant-Man and the Wasp, or should I say Giant Man and the Wasps. This duo is going to have different character models, so for the Wasp, she's actually going to be a smaller character model than most characters, because she's going to constantly be small. And when you switch to Ant-Man, you're going to only be in Giant Man form. And when you're in Giant Man form, you're going to be really sluggish and can't move that fast, but you're going to be like a duo tank hybrid, kind of like Mr. Fantastic. The primary blast for both characters would be Sonic Wrist Blast, but mainly that's going to be used as the Wasp. Once you're in Giant Man, you can hold corners and just sit and plant on OBJ, and you have a 300 damage overshield, but you can't really do a whole lot of damage. It's more of just like you fly in as Wasp, shoot some picks, sit as the Giant Man, Hulk smash them essentially, and then fly back in as the Wasp and get out of there. Their ultimate is It's Ant Time. This would be a swarm of either ants or wasps. For the wasps, you would get a swarm of wasps that would fly in and just ground any heroes or villains that are in the air. Think of your Star-Lords, your Iron Mans, or your Annoying Storms. The wasp would come in, do damage, and ground them. It wouldn't kill them and get them on like a little bit of health left, maybe like a quarter health left, but you're going to ground these flight heroes, so then you and your team can pick them off and kill them. Or you can throw in a swarm of ants. Think of the squirrel stampede that Squirrel does, but with ants. The only difference with this is that they're actually going to crawl on the face of the heroes and villains that you're attacking on the enemy team, and you're going to blur their vision as well as do damage to them. I'd like to think of like the ants going in their eyes and stuff, like from Indiana Jones. That's disgusting. But think of Mario Kart where the squid like shot the ink on your face. It's going to be like that. So like you can still see a little bit, but you're going to be getting damage and you can barely see as well. It's one of those ults that when paired with another ult would just absolutely murder anyone in its path. Third on this list, I have Reptilian, which if you're an OG Superhero Squad fan, you know who this guy is. He's basically Beast Boy for Marvel, but can only transform into dinosaurs. I think it'd be really cool to see as a DPS. His primary fire would just be Velociraptor claws, and think of him like Iron Fist. He's just going to be in your face, slashing your face with the Velociraptor claws. His attack would be a ranged attack with his neck going into a Bronchosaurus where it's like Mr. Fantastic. He can hit you from about like 15 meters away, but nothing too far. So he has the ability to be in your face, but also ranged attack as well. For his passive, he's going to lay down dino eggs every 90 seconds, and only he can respawn with it. So it's like the Rocket Raccoon passive where he can put down the little respawn, except it's just a dinosaur egg for himself. His ultimate would then be just him screaming and roaring as a T-Rex, and you would then turn into a huge T-Rex, go on a rampage, damaging everything and anyone in your path, and then you also have the option to pick up one character, put them in your mouth as a T-Rex, and eat them, instantly killing them. Preferably, this would be used with a tank. You just pick up the Doctor Strange that you can't kill, put him in your mouth, kill him, and then your team takes the point. Moving on to Quicksilver, he's the fourth one on my DPS list. His passive, like Luna Snow, gives him a 1.5 speed boost increase. His tactical is going to be Octane from Apex Legends, where he just stems and runs faster. His tactical just makes him run even more faster. Nothing too crazy for a damage output, though. His primary damage output, that being said, if he runs up close to you, kind of like how I just said with Reptilian guy, he can claw and scratch you. If you run up close to someone with Quicksilver, you can just like push them like the Flash does in that terrible Flash movie, or you can have a ranged attack, kind of like Aang from Avatar the Airbender. Let's just pretend Quicksilver can airbend, where he like stirs up some air and can push you off the point, doing damage as well. So he can fly in or like run in, punch you in the face, do damage like that, like Iron Fist, or he can run in, force push you away with air essentially, and then get out of the objective. For his ultimate, I have Sweet Dreams Are Made of This, like from the X-Men clip, where he makes everyone around him on the enemy team in the area of effect move half as slow as they normally do, while also giving him a 3x speed boost. Nothing too crazy, but fast enough for him to run around and stun the enemy team where they're slow, and then also run in and get picks with his fists. The idea with this is that you would allow him to run really fast, get his picks in, and then run out of the area of effect, get out of the objective. The downside to this is that if you have a Hawkeye or an Iron Man or any sort of ranged person on the enemy team, you can still kill him. He's not invincible like Luna Snow, but he's running super fast where it's hard to hit him. But if you got a good Hawkeye or a good ranged attack, or if you're Spider-Man and can yank him off the map, you're still going to kill him. But the idea with this ult is that you run in really fast, stun the enemy team for your team to then kill them, and you're also hitting really quick picks as well with Quicksilver. Lastly, on my DPS list, every sort of hero shooter, in my opinion, needs that one guy that can shut down all abilities or copy abilities. If you're familiar with Apex Legends, Revenant, before he got changed, his ability is that he would cancel your ability. Or in Black Ops 3, there was a guy, I believe his name was Blackjack, where his ultimate was that he stole other people's ultimates. And that's what we're doing with Taskmaster here. And you might say, wait, Cody, Loki does that as well. He steals the ultimates. Yes, but we're going to be stealing tacticals and passives. Just bear with me here. His primary fire, he has 2 dual Uzis that it has ranged fall off, but if he's in your face, kind of like Star-Lord, he's going to be melting you with these dual Uzis. His first tactical, he's going to be stealing from Hawkeye. It's going to be an explosive bow and arrow for ranged attacks and a quick finish on those enemies that you popped off with your Uzis that might have flown away. That's his one tactical. His passive is he's going to get a shield, like a Captain America shield, that has 300 HP, and it's going to be able to block damage and reflect damage as well. He also has a sword for a melee that has increased melee damage compared to normal people's melee damage. Both of those are his passives. His ultimate, it gets complicated, but I have it titled, Watch Me Copy This. Taskmaster can steal any 2 characters' passives or any 2 characters' tactical ability to allow for max mobility and max damage output. Think of Luna Snow's 1.5 walking speed. He might take that, but then he also might take Star-Lord's ability with his tactical where he just spins in a circle and shoots, so he is able to walk in faster, shoot, and then fly out. The cool thing with this, though, in his ultimate, all damage is increased by 2x, and he can also copy 2 abilities at the same time. So he's going to grab 2 people's either tactical or passive, have double damage output, get in and out as well. I think that's a cool, like, copy trickster character without just being a blatant ripoff of Loki. A few characters, kind of like with the tank thing, that I really want to see in the future would be Backdrop the Leaper, who's just a jumpy boy Spider-Man villain, if you know who that is. Falcon with Red Wing, where he can kind of have a turret with Red Wing. I don't know how that would work. Also have deep cuts like Frogman, King the Conqueror as some sort of tech-based DPS. And then I would love to see a Green Goblin, where he's just in the air constantly on a glider just throwing down pumpkin bombs at people. Again, if you guys want to see some sort of like character list breakdown for a part 2 of this in the future, just let me know because I would love to do this in the future. Moving on to healers lastly, the leaked characters in this, we got like MODOK, Ultron, and Professor X, so people that I'd love to see, but again, I'm not just going to make let's just do what everyone says. These are unique characters that I haven't seen anyone say, so hopefully you guys like them. Starting off number 1 with my healer list, I have the Ancient One, that old bald-headed lady from Infinity War. Yeah, we got her. Her primary fire, she's going to be throwing these fireballs that heals teammates and also giving them a damage increase. After 3 consecutive hits are on a teammate, that doubles the damage output, but also damages the enemies as well. So if you hit 3 consecutive hits on an enemy, the 4th, 5th, and 6th one are just going to be stacking the damage increase. Or if you heal a character 1, 2, 3 like a tank, the 4, 5, and 6 is going to be increasing the amount of heals that it takes for that character. So you can heal people and do damage to people really quickly if you hit your shots consecutively. And it's not going to be like a cloak and dagger auto aim. Like you've actually got to hit your shots. For tactical number 1, I have a healing wall. It's kind of like Sue Storm's healing wall, but this time you attach a spark wall onto a hero's back, granting them health, but also blocking incoming damage only from the backside though. I think this would be really interesting to have like tanks turn their back and stuff to block damage, but also increasing their output damage and healing them as well. I think this is best for dive heroes though. The wall sticks to the heroes for about 5 seconds though, nothing too crazy. For her second tactical, I have it titled Astral Projection. This is really interesting where the Ancient One can get out of her body, but she's still vulnerable while she's out of her body though. You can still kill her. And while she's out of her body, she's able to scout around the map for incoming attacks, gaining information and intel as well. And while she's in this mode, she can shoot out damage and heal characters as well, like Portal basically, but only at 50% damage output and 50% healing output as well. So it's a give and a take. For her ultimate, it gets a little confusing, but it's called Time Stone. When her ultimate is activated, the Ancient One can cancel any incoming ultimate damage. So if Magneto or Iron Man throws their ultimate at you, it instantly cancels it, doesn't do any damage, and automatically resets the enemy, their ultimate, to 50%. So think of it like the Time Stone. She's basically saying like, nope, that didn't happen. Ultimate reset. Really annoying and just protecting her team essentially. While doing so, the Ancient One can also heal anyone in the area of her effect. So if she's like clamps down and says no, Time Stone, anyone around her just instantly gets full health. Kind of like Loki's little like totem poles he places down. It's like that as well. Second on my healing list, I have Darwin, a deep cut from the X-Men if you know who he is. The guy who's not supposed to die but then died in X-Men First Class. Whatever. Darwin's primary fire is that he shoots out energy blasts that do damage to enemies, but also heals his teammates. The lower the health the teammate is at, the faster they get healed by these orbs. For an example, if a DPS is at 230 health out of 250 and you shoot an orb at them, they're slowly going to get healed. But if you have a DPS that's at 20 health out of 250, they're going to get healed like that because his whole ability is to like adapt and survive to anything. So of course, the health output for characters that are lower is going to be more fast than the characters that are basically at like 95% health. First tactical, number 1, I have Night Vision. When this is activated, Dark grants the team with the ability to see through walls. This is only for the enemies that are currently doing damage to heroes, not like Punisher where he can just see a character and then go behind a wall. If you're getting shot at and you run around the corner, you can still see who just shot at you though. Any damage done to these said characters that you can see through the walls will instantly heal his teammates that are being put out with damage. So if you're on his team and you're seeing someone and he activates his Night Vision and you're the Punisher on Darwin's team and start shooting damage at the characters that you just saw through the wall, you auto start healing yourself as well. For his second tack, I have what's called Rearrange. Darwin can absorb any incoming damage and then attach that damage to his teammates. He only has up to 500 damage with this, and it takes about 5 seconds for this to be fully charged. What happens is you activate your damage output Rearrange thing. You can absorb up to 500 damage, and then you can transfer that over to your teammates, healing them, but also allowing them to do 500 damage extra as an output as well. For his ultimate, I have Natural Selection. When activated, Darwin can choose a teammate to have double increased health and a damage reduction. Along with this, Darwin is invincible and doubles his healing output. For his passive, it's just a damage reduction. Any incoming damage to him is automatically 25% taken off because he's supposed to like adapt to anything. That's his thing. We had a flying tank earlier with War Machine. Now we have our first flying healer with the Silver Surfer. For his primary fire, he has electromagnetism. Silver Surfer shoots visible sound waves that are circular. Anyone caught in these waves, if you're on his team, will receive healing, or you'll receive damage if you're an enemy. Think of just like big orbs that he's just like shooting sound waves at. For his first tactical, it's just going to be a basic flight speed increase and healing factor output increase. For his second tactical, he has power absorption. When activated, Silver Surfer has a 300 HP overshield, and after that's popped, any incoming damage will be tallied up for 5 seconds. After that damage number is then tallied up, for 5 seconds, that damage number will be automatically equally distributed to every character on his team to heal them. So if those 5 seconds is going on, he absorbs 300 damage. Those 300 damage will then be converted to healing and will be equally distributed to his teammates. So the thought with this is you pop your ult or you pop your tack, you fly into the objective, you get shot at a few times, you fly out, and then that damage is then converted to health and then shot like a soul bond with Adam Warlock equally to your teammates. For his ultimate, he's got a black hole. When activated, Silver Surfer throws a mini black hole onto the map, sucking in all enemies, incoming equipment, projectiles, and any other form of damage. Along with this, he gives the enemy team a vision blur. Because there's a black hole on the map, you can't see things as well. Any damage taken into the black hole will then be reversed and shot back out to the enemy team, along with reversing that and shooting it in healing form back to his teammates as well, healing them in the process. A passive with this is not something that's going to be implemented right away, but anytime there's a Galactus, a Galacta, or a Ghost Rider on the Silver Surfer's team, they're all going to receive damage increases. So they're going to be able to shoot and do more damage as well. Fourth on this list, again, kind of like Taskmaster, not one to make him like Loki, I have my boy Mysterio. His primary fire is going to be drone-based healing. Mysterio has a total of 5 drones that he can queue and attach to follow whoever he desires. The more drones that are on a character means the faster they're going to get healed, of course. Each drone has 200 HP and a 5-second respawn, so you can shoot them, they die, and you have to wait for them to respawn as well. You can attach multiple drones to one character if pleased to just basically pocket them for you. For his first tactical, his drones transform into your very own personal firing squad. When this is activated, the drones then target enemies that you choose, and you can target specific enemies, and they have an auto lock. Your healing during this is then resulted to your energy blast that you can shoot out of your hands, which does less healing than the drones and can only heal one person at a time. So it's a give and a take. Do you want to be a firing squad or do you want to heal your team? You can pick and choose. His second tactical is titled Master of Illusion. Mysterio cloaks himself, turning him invisible. While he's invisible, he will then be able to heal faster, stronger, and reposition in the fight. The trick is with this though, since he's a Master of Illusion, the longer he stays in this form, he'll start to like glitch across the map. So if you see him here, he'll really be here, but then that means you know to aim here, if that makes sense. This is active for 60 seconds, and the longer he gets, the closer he gets to those 60 seconds, the closer that glitch will be to his body, so then you can basically just see him. For his ultimate, I have a smoke screen, and I think I cooked with this one. Mysterio throws down a green smoke bomb or a smoke screen, and this makes his teammates that are in the area of effect have a decoy of their character that instantly continues to start shooting. So if you're standing here shooting, and he throws the smoke screen on you, your character is going to still be shooting. It's not going to be doing any damage, but it's still going to be following like an AI path of what he thinks will happen. In reality though, the real you and your teammates will be cloaked and be invisible for 5 seconds, allowing you guys to turn around, get behind the enemy team, reposition, relocate, get heals packs, do whatever you want in order to get an advantage in the fight. The cloaked teammates, whenever you're invisible, you're also automatically being healed. No one has to heal you while this is happening. You can pop out of your illusion at any moment's notice. All you have to do is just start firing and your decoy will die or like disappear and you'll be popped out into reality and everyone will know where you're at. A passive with this gives any Sinister Six member that will eventually be added to the game a 25% damage, only towards Spider-Man though, just to get rid of that guy because he's the worst. Lastly, for my healers on this list, I have Beast from X-Men. He has a primary fire of just throwing these healing grenades. Beast throws these grenades and they do splash damage to enemies and do splash damage to heal teammates as well. If the grenade hits a teammate directly on, it will give them more health than it would if it splashes next to them. And the same is said for a damage output. If you hit an enemy with the grenade, it damages them more than if they get splash damage from the grenade. His first tactical is just going to be a speed increase. When activated, nearby teammates get temporarily granted 1.5 movement increase, and his healing grenades also do a 1.5 healing increase as well, and a damage increase as well. For his second tactical, I have what's called Ape Punch, where he Popeye style winds up his fist and punches any enemies in his area and sends them back flying backwards, but also vertically as well into the air. This is great for separating enemies from the backline and can be combined with a maximum pulse where you can hit them in the air, or any type of ult. Speaking of ultimates, his ultimate is what I call Beast Mode. Beast goes on all fours and goes into a speed blitz wherever he desires, leaving behind kind of a trail behind him that when entered, if you're on his team, gives you max healing like a Luna Snow ult instantly and that same 1.5 speed increase. During this ult, Beast can knock back any characters, even tanks, and break any sort of group walls or equipment automatically by running over them. This is great for instantly healing your teammates. You can just go back and forth like this. You don't need to run around. You just instant heal your teammates that are in that contrail behind you. Great for pushing back enemies and just planting on objective as well. Lastly, his passive allows him, like Jeff the Shark, to climb walls and just sit on walls wherever he pleases because he's Beast. He also can do a triple jump like Iron Fist and has the fastball special with Wolverine. Lastly, for our healers that I'll see in the future on this list, we have Heimdall, Molecule Man, Kang, High Evolutionary, and Sunfire. Not doing descriptions for these guys, but if I make a part 2, that's who I'm doing. So what do you guys think? I thought I absolutely cooked here, but obviously not everyone's going to have the same opinion as me. I really enjoyed making this video, and if you'd enjoyed it and made it this far into the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It just helps me know you guys like these videos, and I'll keep making more because of them. So thank you guys truly so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know who you guys would add to the future to Marvel Rivals if you were a dev or could do anything like that. Also, Marvel, if somehow you're watching this, I just want 1.5% of any revenue added for a skin if you steal my designs. Thank you. Ultimately, though, hope you guys enjoyed this video because that's all that really matters to me. So let me know your thoughts down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.